Hello, I just want to give you a little bit more um, as it pertains to um, helping children that are exhibiting challenging behaviors. And so, this is an approach called collaborative problem solving or dealing with the explosive child. It's a process or an approach developed by Ross Green. And so, let's kind of take a look at what he's said his program is. So he basically starts with how do we classify children? Is the behavior planned, intentional, goal oriented, and purposeful? Then maybe we might use the words willful, manipulative, bratty, and the other ones um, that are listed here, which so often we do. We just jump to the conclusion that this child somehow it has a plan. Or maybe it's just they're experiencing a developmental delay that maybe, as we've learned in films before and lessons before, maybe the executive function, the emotional regulation, the self-regulation just isn't developmentally as far along as it is with other children. So pathways are ways or categories of thinking about what's the pathway leading to the explosive behavior, the challenging behavior. Quite often, there might be problems with the executive skills. They haven't developed to the point where they might have in other children. So, the ability to shift from one thought process to another. In other words, I'm sitting at dinner and now all of a sudden it's time to play, or vice versa. How do I plan and deal with situations that I encounter? In other words, how am I going to deal with somebody taking my toy or saying I can't have pizza for dinner? Um, can I separate the effect, in other words, my emotions, from how I'm thinking? How many of you have made emotional decisions? In psychology, they call it emotional reasoning. How many times have you let your emotions determine how you're going to deal with a particular situation? Well, for children, this becomes very difficult. How about language skills? They just don't know how to express themselves. They don't know which words to use. They're not flexible. They don't move from one activity easily to another. They don't move from playing with their toys to sitting down to dinner. Um, Sitting down to dinner, going to their homework, or whatever it might be. And then social skills, just how do I interact with other people? Daniel Goleman says it is social illiteracy. I don't know what it means when somebody comes up and slaps me on the back and says, "How's it going, dude?" I don't know. What does that person mean, and why did they hit me? So I don't understand social skills, or I don't have them. Triggers are the things that actually cause the event or to explode, the child to explode, to act inappropriately. So there's problems that have to be solved. So here is a list of all kinds of triggers, and you can read through them. And I'm sure that if you've been around little children, you've seen all of these things trigger certain negative responses. Now, look, we're not talking about the child that once in a while throws a little fit or doesn't get their way and becomes a little problematic. We're talking about children that do this on an ongoing basis, and you can't settle them down. Once they explode, they're off and running, and they're not going to respond to you just holding them and quietly talking to them. Uh, Being sent to their room or those types of things. This isn't the common response. So we need to identify the pathways. We need to identify the triggers so that now we can predict a behavior. We can predict that the child does this every time we ask them to do their homework. They do it when we ask them to sit down for dinner. So what are some possible solutions? They might ask for help. Can you help me? Um, with my homework? Can you help me with these various situations? How about can we meet halfway? Can we get a little and give a little? Is there a different way that we could possibly go about this? It's very common to ask kids, what did you get as a result of that behavior? What happened as a result of that? What was the outcome? Was there a better way that you might have gone about talking to your teacher, your parents, or someone else? Look at the thing to keep in mind is children really do want to do well. They do want to do well if they can. I think sometimes parents or teachers or others that are working with children think that the child is purposely doing this to them, that they thought it out. I'm going to get this person. And actually, children do want to do well. Um, we're talking about children that just don't quite have the skills cognitively, emotionally, behaviorally to deal with certain situations. Um, so, what happens? The cognitive demands are overwhelming. I don't know what to do. Have you ever had the experience where even you, as an adult, go, I was at a loss for words? I didn't really know what to do. Well, think if you're a young child and you're experiencing that on an ongoing basis. So, what are some solutions? Let's teach them some language. Let's tell them here are some words that you can use that you can tell people I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm angry. In other words, I can start to um, express myself. It might evolve, okay? It might evolve actually into confused from disappointed, excited, bored. Um, so we might be able to give them a vocabulary that they actually might progress in. Maybe they aren't able to express it verbally, so have a set of pictures on a wall that they can point to with the various emotions, emoticons, you know. Use a numbering system. How angry are you? How frustrated are you? How sad are you? I'm a 1, not too bad. I'm a 5, this is out of control. In time, the child will start to develop those executive skills. For a while, the parents have to become the surrogate prefrontal cortex. In other words, you're helping them to develop those skills that haven't developed in a natural progression. So emotional regulation lightens the load. In other words, pretty soon, if I'm not exploding, it sure makes things a lot easier. So let's look at the 3 plans. Plan A, what can a parent do when the child starts to explode? Well, you must. You can't. I'm not interested in discussing it. Plan A is the parent just says, this is the way it's going to be. We're not going to talk about it. You sit down and you eat dinner. No discussion. Plan C is, okay, we'll have pizza for dinner. Okay, you don't have to come to dinner. And so, what basically in Plan C the parent is doing is they're picking their battles. So, it might be other behaviors that the parent really wants to address. You can't address all, if a child has multiple behaviors that are of concern, you can only address one of them at a time. Plan B is the real collaborative problem solving approach. Um, so, in other words, so you want pizza for dinner. All right, it seems like you're really upset that we're not having pizza for dinner. So, reflective or active listening. In other words, saying, I kind of feel your pain. I'm recognizing your emotion that you're having here, your frustration. Now, what is the problem? Why is it that you don't want to do your homework? Um, so, it might be that we want to let the child talk about it. Well, the reason I don't like to do my homework is I do it, and it seems like I can never do it right because I take it in. My teacher does nothing but tell me how poor of a job I've done. I don't understand how to do these problems. Okay, and then the invitation is, okay, you've put your cards on the table, so to speak. I've put my cards on the table. Now I'm going to invite you to problem solve with me. What can we do about this situation? How can we work this out together? And so, look at there's an emergency plan. In other words, the child has exploded. All right, and boy, what are we going to do now? Am I going to use plan A, plan B, plan C? Or plan B works best when it's proactive. In other words, work with the child when they're in a calmer state of mind. Start to address some of the problems that they're encountering, and then kind of prepare them for the situation. So you're going to answer, your reflection is on a little boy that is going to throw a fit, and so you can use either one of the strategies that are defined in the other little short presentation or this one to help Malcolm out.